Good morning, everybody, and welcome here to Pocono Raceway. Glad to have you here with us. We're going to go ahead and start with our NASCAR Camping World Truck Series media availability this morning. We're joined by three great young drivers. Here we have Grant Enfinger, driver of the number 98 Jive Toyota, Noah Gragson, driver of the number 18 Switch Toyota, and Ryan Truex, driver of the number 16 ShopRite Bar Harbor Foods Sea-Watch International Toyota. Gentlemen, all of you are no strangers here to Pocono Raceway. Grant, you're a winner here in ARCA. Can you talk about what the trick is to getting around the tricky triangle?
Obviously, all three corners are different here. Everybody always puts a ton of emphasis on the tunnel turn over there, and I feel like that's important, but I try to focus on turn 3 just because it sets you up for that long straightaway. But definitely, out of the ordinary for us. It's not. We bring an intermediate truck here, and for the most part, it's an intermediate package, but it drives completely different than anywhere else we go with these trucks. So, like you mentioned, I've been here quite a few times in the ARCA cars, but this will be my first time in the truck, and I'm looking forward to it.
Noah, you've already had some time on track here. Just walk us through what do you think about the track going into this weekend?
Yeah, running the Venturini Switch Toyota Camry was all right this morning. This track, it's good to get refreshed, and that's really why I'm running both the ARCA Series race and the Truck Series race, is just to get preparation and for the truck race and kind of learn the track just a little bit. I came here last year, but we had a mechanical issue on the first lap, so didn't really get a whole lot of track time, and figured that it'd be a good idea to come back here and kind of get some visual reference points, lift marks to kind of help me out for the Truck Series race.
Yeah. Ryan, as we get closer to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series playoffs, each one of these races takes on greater importance. How much pressure is on you this weekend to really get yourself in the playoff position heading into the postseason?
I try not to worry about it too much, honestly. Me and Grant and Ben Rhodes have all traded the last spot a few times now, so it seems like every weekend one of us has a problem and the other one has a problem and one of us capitalizes. And last week it was Grant. So really we're just focused on trying to win races. I feel like you do that and you run well and just keep focused on that, the points come. And at the end of the day, if you're doing everything you can to run well and get stage points and all those other things, the points just kind of happen naturally. But Pocono is somewhere I kind of put a little more pressure on myself because it's kind of a home track.
Sure.
Dover is considered my home track, but here is only 3 hours from home. So I'm kind of close here, and I actually grew up coming here a lot, going to the mountains, snowboarding, and things like that. So really familiar with the area. There's a lot of family and friends that come out to this race. So I feel like more than anything, just being at Pocono, I think, puts some more pressure on me.
Okay. Let's go ahead and open the floor up for questions. If you have a question for either of these gentlemen, please raise your hand. We will get a wireless microphone to you. Do we have any questions for our panel? I do have a question to throw out to the group here. Coming off of a race like you had at Eldora Speedway, as crazy it is on the dirt, what kind of adjustment is that then to come to a place like Pocono, big track, wide open? How much of an adjustment is it for you to go from one discipline to the next?
I'd say I don't know who exactly you're asking, but I'd say it's a huge adjustment. You know, that Eldora is one of those places where you're hardly wide open anytime in the race, and here you got a lot of time to think about it on the front straightaway here. So it's completely different, different everything, different trucks, different whole mindset goes into this. Eldora is its own animal. It's pretty much the only place we go where we don't worry about anything about aero. It's just all mechanical grip. Well, here, it's all aero. So it's just completely different mindset from the crew chief to the driver to everybody.
No, what kind of an adjustment is it for you?
I don't really think there's much of an adjustment. Trying to get into the mindset of running here at Pocono, obviously it's different with three corners, so that's unique in itself. But I feel like I put more time worrying about what it's going to be like going to Eldora, just because it's just out of what I've ever done. I've never done anything like that, racing on the dirt. That was my first dirt race. So I feel like here, this is pretty much all I know is asphalt, I guess, kind of oval racing. And yeah, you have 3 corners and they're all different, but at the end of the day, we know how the truck's supposed to feel out on these kind of racetracks with this surface. So I don't really feel like I change up my driving style that much coming here rather than I would going to Eldora.
Ryan, any adjustment for you?
I don't think so. When you look at these tracks we go to and the way these trucks are, everywhere you go, you have to be really aggressive. Eldora, we had to be aggressive, but we had to be patient too. It was really easy to make a mistake, and it's kind of the same here, just in a different way. It's easy to make a mistake here and get freight trained because the draft is so important. I watched the race here last year, and it seemed like restarts and kind of blocking and all that stuff was huge. Because if you made a mistake or messed up a corner, there's 3 corners here, and the straightaways are really, really long. So you mess up one corner, it ruins your whole lap, and you spend another 2 laps just gaining that momentum back. And that's kind of the way the Truck Series has gotten at most of these bigger tracks. That's why I think you see a lot more wrecks and a lot more damage and things like that, just because everybody's so aggressive, because there's so much to be gained on restarts, and there's so much to be gained because these trucks punch such a big hole in the air. And I think that's why you see, especially here last year, a lot of wrecks and a lot of crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, there was certainly a lot of aggression in that race. We'll go ahead and open the floor for questions again. We have Reed.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. For all 3 of you guys, given the configuration of the track, do you favor a setup that favors of one particular corner, or is it a compromise in every corner?
I think it's different. I've never been here in a truck, so it's hard to say. I've been here in a cup car where you can shift, so you can kind of get yourself out of a bad spot. The trucks here, the straightaways are so long that your RPM is so much lower in the corner that you really need to focus on straightaway speed. You need to focus on getting off the corner. And all 3 corners matter. I'd say the tunnel turn, you want to be able to turn good to get under somebody, but you've got that shorter straightaway, so the momentum isn't as key. But at the same time, if you get past getting into the 3rd turn, you're on the outside of somebody, you're going to lose the whole front straightaway. So you kind of have to balance all 3 corners. Turn 1 has a lot more banking than 2 and 3, so there's that comes into play too. I think, like we saw William Byron last year, they hit on it perfectly, and they had, on any given lap, 3/10 to half a second on the whole field. And I think that was just a combination of having a good team driver, having the right setup, and just kind of hitting all 3 of those corners perfectly. Because you're never going to get it perfect. It's going to be a balancing act between the 3, and I think whoever can do that the best and have the right strategy and be there at the end and all that other stuff is going to be the truck that wins.
Noah, your thoughts?
Yeah, I just feel like you definitely have to compromise. It might give up a little bit in one corner, and it's kind of a double-edged sword. You need to pick and choose your battles and give up a little bit in one corner that might not mean as much with the long front straightaway and the shorter straightaway off of the tunnel turn. And I feel like you have to get your stuff really good down in turn 3 just to set you up for the long straightaway so you can carry all your momentum through that corner. But then your truck or your car might be handling a little bit different. That's what we kind of struggle with today in the ARCA car, is just getting it good down on one end of the corner of the racetrack, and then the other corner, it's not so good. So I think you kind of have to give up a little bit to gain overall.
Do you see compromise, Grant?
Yeah, I feel like there's compromise on the whole track. You know, not just the 3 corners. There's certain times I feel like you can do something that kind of helps you through the corners there, maybe gets you off at turn 3 a little bit better. But it actually hurts you on the straightaway. I mean, these trucks are really, really draggy. So I know that's something we're gonna have to fight with today. So there's compromise over the whole track. Turn 1 it's got a lot of banking. It'll hold you a little bit. The tunnel turns its own animal, and turn 3 is really, really flat there. So yeah, just definitely compromise over the whole track.
Okay, we'll go to Kyle, then up front to Lee, and then to Scott.
Kyle Magg, the Times leader. This is for Noah. How was your Sheets experience the other night? Was that the first time you've ever been to one of those?
No, I went to Sheets, so they don't have those like in Las Vegas or the West Coast where I'm from. So
Wawa is way better.
Gotta have a Wawa, right?
I went to Buc-ee's in Texas. That place is awesome. It's like a Walmart, but a gas station. But anyway, so yeah, Sheets was pretty cool. I made like a milkshake and everything. Did some Instagram live in there. It's they got some good food and all that kind of stuff. So I had a good experience.
And how was your ARCA car this morning? I know you were just talking about it a little bit.
Yeah, our Switch Superior SX Camry was all right. We tried to come here with some kind of stuff that front end geometry stuff that they wanted to try, and it didn't quite work. We hit on a little bit of stuff that helped it turn, but overall it didn't really work. So we kind of threw that out the window and went a different direction with it. So I felt like we kept on hitting on it and gaining on it throughout the practice session. It was kind of hard just being an hour and a half practice session straight through. We didn't have 2 practices. We only had 1. So that kind of made it difficult. We were kind of rushing a little bit because we were making some big swings at it. But I feel like we're going to be all right for qualifying. We're just going to keep on inching our way together with it. I'm going to work with my teammate Zane Smith. He was pretty fast on the regular race runs. He was about the fastest. So just going to talk to him and get out there in my Switch Toyota Tundra out in the truck series and kind of hopefully learn a couple more things in that can help me translate for the ARCA car and qualifying in the race.
We'll go to Lee, then to Scott.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Ryan, this is the first time you've been able to run a full season with a team and kind of run for championship. How has that changed how you approach what you do on a weekly basis?
I'm just way more comfortable. When I don't have to worry about who I'm driving for next week or if I'm driving next week, I can focus a lot more. I've had the same guys all year, which I haven't had that either. I've had Scott Zipadelli all year, so we've been able to really work hard on our relationship, and he's learned a lot about me and what I need, and I've learned kind of how to explain that to him. And honestly, right off the bat, we hit it off. We both kind of have the same mentality, so it's been really good. It's just nice. It's just comfortable, and it's made my job so much easier to just show up and worry about the truck and race and know that not only that I'm going to be there, but I know I'm going to have fast trucks every weekend. I know how hard my team is working, and we're constantly building new stuff. This weekend is a brand new truck that we just finished. Our last truck that we've been running, Chassis 05, that was our last new one that we ran 4 or 5 races in a row. Had all of our top 5 and 10 finishes with it. We destroyed that at Kentucky. Like it's a show truck now. So that kind of put us behind the 8 ball a bit. Being a smaller team, we only have 5 trucks. So this is our 6th one, and this is really the only one we want to take to the racetrack because we know how good it is compared to some of the older stuff we have. So we're just trying to build and revamp and get better and learn. And at the same time, we've still got to stay within our funding and what we've got to spend in our budget. Shiggy Hattori, our team owner, invests a lot into this program, and I feel like he's just now starting to see that investment. He's put a lot into this sport over the past 5 or 6 years through the K&N series up into the truck series, and basically everything that we had last year equipment-wise we've had to completely rebuild, and some of it we try not to even bring to the racetrack because it's just it's obsolete. And the truck series, it's changing every week, and everybody's constantly innovating and getting better. And no one knows he's driving for one of the best teams, and so is Grant. They know how much this stuff changes and how hard you have to work, and all the little details and small things that go into the truck series and making these trucks fast. And that's the stuff that Scott's been able to bring to the table. Being at Red Horse last year, I feel like he has a lot of knowledge on the intricate little stuff, and honestly, he spends as much time in the fab shop as he does on his computer and setting up the trucks. And I think having a guy like that's kind of leading our team, along with Mike Ricci, who's been around me forever, has really revitalized it and made it basically a brand new team starting this year.
How many employees does Shiggy have?
I think we have, I don't want to be wrong, I'd say probably between 10 and 14.
And
most of those guys are at the racetrack on the weekend.
And you and Zippy, you both have very famous older brothers in this
Exactly.
sport.
Yeah.
What kind of pressure is it being the older brother when your brother and his brother have had so much success in this series?
Well, that's kind of the thing that we have in common. We've kind of both grew up in our brother's shadows, so we both know what it feels like. But we don't, honestly, that's what I really like about him. He doesn't really worry about any of that. He doesn't really care about anybody else at the track or worry about what anyone's doing. like he doesn't keep up with any of the silly season stuff or any of that stuff. He's just 100% focused on his job and what he's doing and trying to get better. And I feel like I'm the same way. So right off the bat, like I said, we hit it off. And I'd actually worked with him before in 2012 when I drove for Robbie Benton in a few races in the Xfinity Series. So we kind of had a little bit of a relationship, and we'd always talk at the racetrack and things like that. And he's known my family for a long time. So honestly, my team feels more like a family than anything. It's all guys that I've worked with before. Like I said, Mike Ricci, he's basically the general manager. I've known him since I was 3 or 4. He actually ran my dad's Busch North team when it was ran out in New Jersey. He lived up in New Jersey right across the street from me, and I'd always go down to the shop and torment him. So I've known him forever, and all the team guys they were on my K&N team back in 2009 and 10. So really it's more of a family than anything, I think, and it's kind of got an old school feel to it, and everybody works really hard and wants to be there and really kind of builds off each other.
Scott?
Scott Walsh from the Scranton Times-Tribune for Ryan. My question was kind of along the same lines. Given your brother's success over the last couple of years, has that put any extra pressure on you? And maybe what's maybe been the best piece of advice or how he's kind of helped you with your driving career?
Well, honestly, it's motivation more than anything to see everything he's gone through. And when he came into this sport, it kind of seemed like it all came very easily to him, into the Xfinity Series and up through the Cup Series. He was just able to progress really quickly and run really well, and then started to struggle in the later DEI days when it transitioned into Earnhardt Ganassi. It seemed like when he went to MWR with Napa, things were starting to look up, and he finally won that race that got the monkey off his back and made the chase, and then everything happened, and Napa left, and he didn't know if he even had a ride after that year. And honestly, it might have been the best thing to ever happen to him, because he went to Furniture Row, and obviously they struggled really bad the first year. Then they made a bunch of changes, and Cole Pearn came in, and him and Cole Pearn are just the perfect combo. They're like the Chad and Jimmy combo. So seeing all that, it's taken him 10 years in Cup to finally get all that stuff lined up for the stars to all align. So when I look at my career and how I've kind of jumped around, and starting my career, I kind of moved up really quick through all the series and was able to run well, win races, move up quickly. Then I hit the Xfinity Series, and just kind of the wrong time. Didn't have the sponsorship to run full time, and that was 2010 when I was 18. So I'm 25 now. I've been racing in NASCAR for 7 years, and I'm finally full time. So seeing him go through all that, and 10 years later finally get what he needed to go out and be a contender for a championship, motivates me, keeps me comfortable knowing that I've got time. I'm still young, and I know that it takes time for that perfect combo. And some guys have it easier, some have it harder. There's been a few more bumps in the road for me, but I feel like it definitely motivates me seeing what he's gone through. And I think it'll be all that much sweeter when I finally do succeed and can make it to the Cup level.
We'll go to the gentleman here on the right.
Hi guys, John Polai with SSP TV. My question for you guys is, every week you go to a different racetrack. What is it about Pocono that really sticks out to all of you?
Grant?
I'd say just kind of like what we talked about earlier is it's so different. This track, it's not like anywhere else we go to. The fact that a lot of these intermediate races, we're wide open around there. Well, here it's not even close. We're lifting a good bit in the turn one. You might, if you're really, really good, be wide open in the tunnel turn, and you're not even close there in turn 3. So that's the biggest difference. It's really, really fun as a driver. There's a lot you can do in the driver's seat here to help compromise for your truck. A lot of the places we go to, when we're wide open, it doesn't matter what you do. Either you unload good and you're gonna have a great weekend, or you unload bad and you're gonna have a bad weekend. There's your hands are kind of tied a little bit. Well, here you can make a difference. So that's what I like about Pocono.
Noah?
Yeah, I just feel like with Pocono, I kind of treat it as a road course that's shaped in an oval, just because there's 3 distinct different corners, and you got to set yourselves up for your straightaways and really be able to get through the corner good. So I treat it like a road course. and it's very unique, very different. You definitely have to be on your toes. It's very, very fast, especially in the tunnel turns. So just making sure you hit all your marks and your lift points is critical. And I'm not really sure what it's going to be like in the truck, but just my few ARCA laps in the ARCA car, I feel like it's pretty fast, and I feel like the trucks are going to be faster in the cornering speeds just because they have more downforce and more side force. So just got to set yourself up for your straightaways here, and yeah, it's pretty much it. It's just a different animal.
Right?
I agree with what Grant said. It's one of the few tracks with intermediate speeds or super speedway speeds where you actually have to lift and drive the truck. So while you do have to have a good truck and it's got to have the least amount of drag and downforce and all that stuff, the driver can still come into play. Everybody drives this track, I think, a little bit differently in turn 1 and 3. The tunnel turn's pretty straightforward. Everyone kind of has the same line through there, but the driver can make a difference here, especially in the trucks with the draft. Lane selection on restarts, like I said before, is huge. The guy that can get a good restart is going to gain spots, and who picks the right lane, get in the corner, who sets people up the right way, and who's aggressive without being too aggressive and wrecking. So the driver comes into play for sure. I think that's what makes it different for being as fast as it is, because you have to lift. And anytime you have to lift, it makes for different driving styles and things like that. And like Noah said, you kind of treat it like a road course because you want to make the straightaway as long as possible because that's where you're going to get all your speed. So you kind of got to keep that in mind when you're in practice trying to set up your truck, and just be mindful of what you need in the race to be able to pass and be fast.
Well, before we release you to practice, one final question here from Lee.
For Grant, what did you learn winning the ARCA race last year that you think will transfer into trucks?
I mean, I guess the good thing about I've run quite a few ARCA races here. Most of them were in the steel bodies. This past year, it was in a composite body. So I feel like just overall, it's closer to a truck. It's not the same downforce or anything, but it was a lot closer to a truck than the old style ARCA cars that they used to run. So I mean, honestly, just laps around here helps you. I mean, just like Noah's doing this weekend, getting your visuals out there and knowing what you can do. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit different in the truck, but just knowing the track means a whole lot.
And as far as the rookie battle right now, what would it mean for you to win the rookie title in trucks?
I mean, honestly, our goal is to go after this championship. That's what we're focused on doing. Kind of the rookie battle is kind of wherever it shakes out at the end. Myself, Jeff Hensley, everybody on the 98 Job Communications Tundra is just strictly focused on championships. So we'll have to see how the rookie deal plays out at the end of the year. Thank y'all.
Grant, Noah, Ryan, thanks for joining us today. Good luck this weekend. Have fun in practice.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.